ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to Madame de Haillon for his invitation to this big event. And I'm very glad to have learned a lot from the other speakers who are experts in their field. We are in a global market, so that means except a few less developed countries and regions, we need to do business with foreigners, foreign customers. And the only difference is the degree on which we rely on the foreign customers, on foreign market. But foreign market is never easy to enter because due to the obstacle from the difference could be cultural, could be religious, could be political. And I have been living in Europe for more than 15 years. And thanks to my work, I have many contacts with people from different sectors, and with many of them we have become friends. And one question frequently asked by them is how to enter Chinese market. This is not a simple question. In fact, it's a very complex one. And I think I thought very long time on it. The question is, I would like to share my experience with you in this field as what I have done with my friends. First of all, China is as big as Europe, so there's not one national market, but several regional markets. So the second is the difference between China and Europe is big. The wise way to enter is to have a local business partner who know better the market. And the third is to enter Chinese market. It doesn't mean you must be physically present on the market. You can just develop your business with Chinese customers from your home market, at least at the beginning. And then you may consider physical presence later on when your product and service is better known by the Chinese customers. And now you may ask how to enter Chinese market then. I think the first answer comes from the Chinese outbound tourism. So with the Chinese economical development, international travel has become a firm part of the assumption pattern of Chinese people, of everyone who is anyone in China. According to China National Tourism Administration, 120 million Chinese citizens have traveled overseas last year and have spent 104.5 billion USD, an annual increase of 12 and 16.7% respectively. And I'd like to recall that 20 years ago, only 7 million Chinese people had the chance to travel overseas. And Europe remains the second most important destination for Chinese tourists, just behind the rest of Asia, with 3.43 million travelers, an annual increase of around 23%. The most popular destinations are France, Italy, and Switzerland. And Chinese people, they stay on average 7 days in Europe. They are the first nationality among all foreign travelers in terms of spending in many European countries, like France, Switzerland, UK, Spain, and Germany. The latest trend that we have observed on this market is that more and more individual travelers come to Europe. They come individually, or in couple, or in family, and they have focused on one or two countries on one theme. Of course, the tourists in group represent still a very important part of the total number, so more than half. But in the coming years, we will see the number of individual tourists will continue to rise. Now, having talked about the past, the present of Chinese outbound tourists, what about the future? According to a report of Boston Consulting Group, in 2030, 40% of the foreign travelers in the world will be Chinese, with a balanced spending among accommodation, shopping, and catering. But the question is, are we ready to welcome them? To better treat these customers, we need to understand their needs. For example, most Chinese visitors are not speaking very well English. Me, for example. Even those who speak English or French, for them it will be easier to explain them Mona Lisa or tourbillon in their native language. And we need to understand their habitude and culture. Yesterday, many speakers have talked about the Wi-Fi, for example, but also other fields. For example, I have been living in Europe for many years. At the beginning, I acted as my French classmates or colleagues. That means I drink cold water. But that's okay. That was okay. But 3 years ago, my stomach protected. So now I began to drink hot water as my parents. And you know, in China, in hotels, the sleeper and dental kit are provided in the room. So many Chinese travelers, they don't think of bringing them in their baggage. And Chinese people, they don't have as long paid vacation as Europeans do. In France, we have between 5 to 7 weeks paid vacations. In China, I can tell you the average is 2 weeks. So that's why they look always stressed, even during their leisure trip. That means they are waiting for more efficient service at the tourist sites or in the hotel, in the restaurants. And also, because they stay a very short period in Europe, so if they happen to be Paris in Sunday, the shops who are closed at that day may see loss of income because these clients are not certain to come back the next day. And the last but not the least, the acceptance of their preferred payment method, which is Unified card. In China, we don't have the personal check as many Europeans do. So we went directly from cash to a payment card, Unified card, 14 years ago. And after 14 years development, today, more than half of the consumption by Chinese are made by Unified card in China. The rest mainly in cash. And when they travel overseas, they can spend up to 80% using Unified card, of course, depending on the country. If in the country, the infrastructure is better, the percentage will be higher. So till now, we have talked about Europe as a whole, but in fact, Europe is, is not a country. So the competition between European countries is fierce. Some countries have done much better than others. Many years ago, I had a meeting with our business partner in Switzerland. I was quite surprised to see there are already many Chinese-speaking staff at the tourist sites in most tourist cities in the country. And our business partners have done a very good job in Switzerland. Today, 100% of ATMs and nearly 50% of the merchants in Switzerland accept UnionPay card. And the objective is to have 100% of the merchants there accept the UnionPay card. So according to the Swiss Federal Statistics Office last year, the overnight stay of Chinese travelers has increased 33.3% comparing to 2014. Chinese are becoming the fourth visitor group by nationality in number and the first group by spending. During the same period, number of European visitors decreased nearly 10%. And UK, due to the problem of visa, attracted less Chinese visitors comparing to other European countries, but they tried to catch up recently with the Great China Welcome Charter program. This program is run by Visit Britain on behalf of the UK government. The program aims to encourage the company to make their service and facility particularly suitable for Chinese customers. In this charter, there are many recommendations. For example, to have a product or service of genuine interest to potential Chinese visitors, to have the Mandarin or Cantonese speaking staff, to have all the information or website in Chinese, to have visitor facing staff who have undergone training about Chinese culture and etiquette, facility for Chinese customers to pay with UnionPay card. And if we look outside of Europe, the Australian government has taken the similar initiative. Having talked about the competition on the country level, let's look at the example of some merchants. For example, Printemps Haussmann, which is the first affiliate merchant in France since 2006. And we worked very closely with them in terms of marketing and VIP service towards Chinese customers. In fact, according to the customer profile, they provide different kinds of VIP services. And as you may know, Chinese market is very important for Printemps, so they have a local representative to do the marketing on the province level. As I have mentioned, China is not one national market, but several regional markets. So we provide information to them on the province level, so which helps them to know on which province they have done good and on which province they may do better. And in the department store sector, because today all the department stores in Paris accept UnionPay card, so we observed the transaction volume increased by more than 2,000 times during 9 years. The second example is a very famous European outlet. They became affiliates since 2011, and they have the promotion program towards customers from China, but also to Hong Kong and Korea, because these are also very important markets for them. Unfortunately, these are also the market on which we are dominant or very strong. And so here now, since 2011, 5 years later, we see the transaction volume increased by 120 times. And more important, with the experience that they have gained with Chinese tourists, they know better the shopping behavior of Chinese customers, and they succeeded in opening an outlet in China last year. And the last example is a French chateau. It's not a well-known chateau. It's a small chateau in the area of Loire. So it's not Chambord, it's not Chenonceau. I didn't know the name of the shadow. I think 90% of you don't know the name of the shadow. And they worked with us last year, but since the acceptance of Union card, during 1 year, they see the transaction, the income with Chinese customer increased by 2 times, and the average ticket increased by 55%. So we see that foreign customers are very important to Europe, and we have seen how we can develop business with Chinese outbound tourists. But that's only one facet of the moving world, which I call it moving customers. But don't forget the other parts, moving goods and service, for example. Chinese customers may come to Europe to purchase a good service, but they may also choose to stay at home and see goods and service moving to their door in China. Today, Chinese customers may just click on the internet and order bottles from French wine maker, or buy tickets from European transport operator. Last year, the cross-border online transaction volume of UnionPay card increased by nearly 3 times. And currently, over 10 million online merchants in about 200 countries and regions accept UnionPay card, including big online merchants like Amazon, Booking.com, but also small, unknown, or less known merchants in Europe selling milk powder. It's worth noting that the cross-border online payment service of UnionPay card not only satisfies Chinese customers' demand for shopping around the world, but also become a special feature in fields of travel booking and overseas tuition payment. Taking overseas tuition payment, for example, today more than 1,200 overseas colleges and universities accept UnionPay card, and the transaction in this sector last year increased by 2 times. Based on a study on Chinese customers' cross-border payment behavior, UnionPay International has constructed the website of Shop the World. So in Chinese, it's haigo.unionpay.com, which provide service including commodity recommendation, translation, and secure payment. From the cardholder point of view, it's like a kind of UnionPay selected web shop. So directly displaying and importing the most fashionable and quality commodity of overseas immersion. There's no need to worry about fake products because all the goods are well selected. Then, having talked about the moving customers, moving goods and service, the third facet is moving device, which is mobile adoption. Mobile adoption is very high, especially in China. In 2014, 1.3 billion Chinese mobile user is counted. And many more people now are using mobile than their desktop. Among the 600 million Chinese people having access to internet, 557 million use mobile phones. In consequence, mobile commerce is booming, and we observed a much faster growth in mobile payment comparing to internet payments. The majority of mobile payment today is remote payment, that means mobile internet payment. But with the adoption of new technology, we see a rapid progress of the proximity payments. That means using your mobile phone to do the payment on the contactless terminal. So this is to show our platform, how we see the mobile payment service. So at the center is the core, which is, we call it OTA provisioning. Just to explain it in a simple word, that means how to put your plastic card in your mobile phone. So we work closely with all the major mobile phone service, mobile phone provider like Apple, like Samsung. Today, in China, the customer could use his mobile phone from Samsung and from Apple, then to put the UnionPay card inside the mobile phone. And the other manufacturer will follow. We have signed already agreement with Huawei, for example. And then using this UnionPay card inside mobile phone, you can do both payments. The payments of online, mobile online payment, but also the proximity payments. And above this payments function, there are other functionality that we can add. For example, we have the many partnership in the other sectors, like traveling and transport. You can put the ticketing function inside this platform, and also you can add access or loyalty program. In fact, you can compare it to a kind of wallet. So instead of have a physical wallet, today you can just put an e-wallet inside your mobile phone. You can do the payment, you can use it to get the loyalty points. You can use it then for the ticketing to enter the metro, for example. You may have heard about this 10 years ago, but 10 years ago, this was a vision because the less of interest and also because the huge investment.
Pay and WeChat payment, which obviously are key competitors.
In fact, we are not really in the same sector. We see more Visa, MasterCard as our competitor. Alipay to us is like PayPal to Visa. And to answer your question, I think the advantage of UnionPay is we provide an open platform. So you see we work with Apple Pay, we work with Samsung Pay, we will work with Huawei Pay. So as mentioned, we insert a kind of wallet inside the mobile phone. So then different actors from different sectors could cooperate with us to put the content in this wallet. For example, we worked with a transport operator in Korea. So we have agreements. So they are using this platform to do the ticketing, to facilitate the everyday life of the Chinese tourists in Korea.